But just realize that if you're in a room where everyone agrees with you, you're in the wrong room. Never be the smartest person in the room. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast, we have a great episode for you today. We are talking about ugly babies. No, we're talking about true, honest feedback about your practice. And honestly, though, it's not as good as you think it is. Probably not as bad as you think some areas are, but there's ways that you can improve. Mastermind groups, collaboration is the key. This is an episode that's going to make you take a step back and honestly assess whether you're getting true, honest feedback or you have a lot of yes people in your circle that are telling you what you want to hear. Where are your blind spots? Where you can be better? We have the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD Podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens, the emails, getting a lot of people reaching out, sending me information, asking questions. I love to collaborate. And that is kind of the foundation of this episode. So I'm part of a group called P3. If you are interested in this, send me an email. I'll connect you with the people there. But it's probably been one of the biggest reasons why I've grown so much this past 3 years. Essentially, it's been the catalyst for me to get where I wanted. And when I had the initial interview with them, I was talking to Jeff Gerson, and he said, why are you looking to add or join this group? And I said, well, I'm looking to add another, grow my office, go to a bigger location, add another doctor. So maybe they can help me with, purchasing equipment or something like that. And he laughed at me and said, that's the least of the things they'll help you with. And he hasn't been wrong. And I know when I went to that first meeting, I spoke truly from my heart of what I wanted to do and accomplish. And I think, if you don't know me, that can come across initially as a little bold, maybe a little naive, but I've tried to back it up. And I think by being there, it's been awesome. And that's kind of what the basis of this conversation is. So I'm part of that group, and I don't know if this will be the title of the episode. We have to look at my producer, my wife, who produces this by editing and such and puts the titles and posts it and such. But your baby is ugly. That might be the title. And Jason Lake, who is the general manager who leads all this and has a lot of great insight and wisdom, kind of said, when you go to this and you talk to your fellow colleagues, we're going to tell you the baby's ugly. We're going to look at things that aren't, the best and help you make them better. And you have to be able to take that, put the ego aside and have that conversation. And the reason I say that is I love my group. I've met with them now for about 2 to 2.5 years. And it's really cool how you become closer. You feel each other out. They're not only colleagues, but they are your friends who will tell you honestly what they think of your practice. And I had this idea. I planned it out. I saw nothing but the good in it. And I pitched it to them, expecting them to look at me like, oh my goodness, this is such a great idea. Are you going to do it? How do we get in on this? And I even pitched it to a couple other people going into it. And they didn't really say yes or no. They thought it sounded kind of interesting, but didn't really tell me. My group looked at me and kind of just said, okay, what are you getting out of this? And they pointed out a lot of the flaws. And to be honest with you, they were absolutely right. One of the things that you lose when you are the CEO of your practice, when you start and it's just you and everyone else, is the people around you are your employees, your friends. Everyone's going to support you. No one understands the business like you. And then the farther you go up, the more detached you get from people who really know your business and can tell you straight up that you're making a mistake or that the idea isn't going to work or it's not a great idea. You don't get a lot of honest feedback, and that is essential I don't care where you're at in running a business, if it's optometry or anything, you got to get honest feedback from people who understand what you're doing. And you have some people, I'm sure, in your life that are very successful. Maybe they own a business, but we're in a unique business that has retail and medical. You talk to a lot of medical people and they don't understand the retail aspect. You talk to a bunch of retail people and they don't get the medical aspect. We're a very, very unique business. And having people that can give honest feedback is awesome. That's why I love my group. So I went from excitement to reality. I had this big, grand idea. I was excited. All I saw was the positives. And I am a sucker for seeing what could be, how this could be the next big thing, how we can use this and snowball it forward. And I've been really good about getting feedback from my peers, my group, and knowing what I truly believe in. And RDEC is the thing that I truly believe in. I've been more diehard about the dry eye and building that than I think any of the other members of my group. And almost to the extent of forget optical, all RDEC, Rejuvenation Dry Eye Center. Now, again, that was a phase. And we're growing and we're building, but now I'm starting to veer back. RDAC has its place. I got to grow the optical side. I got to grow the family vision optical aspect. Part of that is because I've gotten really good. My team has gotten really good. My associate, who is amazing, she's going to carry the dry eye aspect of this business at taking our primary care exams and converting them to dry eye patients. So that tells me that's a great funnel. Just get more primary care patients because that's easier to market to. But again, I saw hype. I was rose-colored glasses, right? That's all I saw was the good that could happen, and they saw what would break. They saw what I'd be sacrificing. They can see what I'm walking into, and I was like naive to the fact that my time is limited. And you'll find out when you're in groups like this, if you have honest feedback, honest conversation, you'll hear someone talking about their situation and it is so clear what the best move is. So clear that they're going to be okay because you're not caught up in the trees. You can take a step back and see the forest. And half of my growth, half of the things that I get is that I'm talking to my other peers, listening to their situations, giving them advice, and it reaffirms what I'm doing or it helps me see a new way to tackle my practice. Rarely do you get that ability because you're in the thick of it. You see the day to day, Mrs. Johnson's angry, or a staff member's not showing up. All you get are the problems. But when you can take a step back and see where they want to go, what they want to do, you know how to guide them. And that helps you do the same for your practice. And like I said, the higher you go, the higher you climb, there's going to be less and less people that challenge you. The beauty of the group I go to is I have a handful of people that are behind me. Not many, truthfully. Most of the people are at my level or above. I love talking to the people that are 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of me because it's still attainable. It's still something that I can reach out and grab. I love hearing the stories that are, 20 steps ahead. They have, 50 practices. They have a big, even 5 to 7 practices. I'm like, that's amazing. How did you do that? But I have one. I have one associate. I have so much further to go to get another associate, another practice. But there's plenty of people that are in that position that are doing it. And just knowing that it's real, because this is not an arrogant statement. But I look at people that have done what they've done, and you talk to them, and they're just people like you and me. There is nothing different except they did what they said they were going to do. They saw it through, and they made the right decisions. They didn't make the wrong ones, and that's key. Because it's very easy to start believing your own hype. Start thinking that you have all the answers. And being naive or blind to your weak spots. There was a million things that I wanted to address, but then my group leader or my colleagues would say, "We're doing this, this, and this." I'm like, man, that is such an easy lever to pull. Something as simple as billing like interior seg photos or using EMEC, essential medical eye care for VSP. Those are easy levers to pull. And I'm just completely going by them because we've never done it. It's not a big deal. But those little things add up. Now there's bigger levers I have to pull. I had this big pie in the sky, but that was a distraction. And I was getting away. And I just had a podcast about this last episode about a controlled, strategic move versus boredom decisions. Right? Listen to that episode. And I think going into that episode, I knew where I was going, what I was going to face, and I was selling myself on that idea. I think if you listen to that episode, I'll listen to it again. I would sell the idea I had that it was going to be perfect and help build the enterprise. Feedback, honest, real feedback. Tell me that the baby was ugly and we needed to fix it up a little bit. Made me realize that it was a long cut. It was a distraction. It was going to stop me from getting to where I want to be. It's because I had honest people on my side that want me to get better. And that is so cool to have that. And I want that for my group too. I want every business owner I talk to there, I want them to be successful. A rising tide raises all ships. If they can do it, I can do it. Great environment to be around. And that goes back to the power of accountability groups. And what I love about them is good ideas don't come from isolation. They come from refinement. And you can only do it so much on your own. But smart, educated, driven business people that are in your industry, that's priceless. I think every one of my group members, I have one that's in Kentucky. Everyone else is basically California. I think one in New Jersey as well. But I have a lot of California people. There's no threat. They're not going to compete with me. It's a great environment to be in. I love local meetings, but to be honest, they're literally across the street. I'll collaborate with them now because I know I work so hard to be good at what I do, and I probably get 80% of where I want to be. And if you're not committed to it, you can hear everything I say and it's not going to work. That's what's so hard about this is what you have to do is easy, but doing it is the hard part consistently and not getting distracted, not going off the beaten path. When you want clarity, you want to see where you're weak, you want to prevent expensive mistakes, you need people that will give you real feedback, that understand your business. You know, what you're looking for. If you're not going to be in P3, there's other groups. But I like having them that they're not a chance of being a threat or competition. They're at your level or just slightly ahead of you. Even people that are a little bit behind you can learn from because you look and see the mistakes that they're making because you just got done doing that. And it reaffirms, I did that too. This is why I changed. Sometimes we think we have good ideas and it gets reaffirmed when you talk to people a few steps behind you. Or you think what you were doing is good and you talk to someone in front of you and you see where that's going to break in the future as you scale, as you get bigger. You don't want people that are just supportive. I love when people call me out. Again, I say that with a tongue in cheek. I like it when I'm around this group and they call me out. When I'm around my day-to-day operations, it's harder to do because I have a different mindset. I'm leading them. I know what we're going to do. I'm devoted and I'm committed. But that's where these groups come in handy. And I'll talk about the cadence and pace of getting feedback and why that's important. But just realize that if you're in a room where everyone agrees with you, you're in the wrong room. Never be the smartest person in the room. Okay? It's better to have your idea torn apart and just mutilated in that room than you realize with real money it was a bad idea. We've talked to our friend. I've talked to other people in my group that everyone in the group is like, don't make this decision right now. This is not the time. You have too much going on. You know what? They did it, and they report back, you guys were right. Thank you for that wisdom. I thankfully dodged a bullet because everything timed up perfectly that before I signed on the dotted line, I talked to my group and they talked me off the cliff. And I didn't put it in the group chat. We have a group chat. I'm going to pressure test things a little bit more frequently because I realized how big of a mistake this was. And again, I could have made it work, but it wouldn't have helped me get to where I was going. It was going to slow the ultimate progress. I'm more focused now. And this is a unique concept that I want to put out there that goes into this accountability group thing. And it can happen if you go to the AOA meeting, if you go to an MOA meeting. I'm going to a Michigan College of Optometry event. There's something I like to call collisions. And the more collisions you have, the more likely you are to have success. And collisions are my way of saying just random meetups, talking to a guy on an airplane or someone in at the bar after the meeting's over. I'm not going to these events because of the event itself. I'm going because of the side conversation in a hallway. If you're done with all the classes, you go to the bar and have a drink. You strike up a conversation. I met some really cool people. Lindsay, if you're listening, I hope you can hear this on 1.8 speed and you approve. But I met a doctor from Arizona who is doing big things. And it's a random collision because we're at the bar together. We may collaborate, we may not, but it's a higher likelihood of success when you meet more people. I think I went to a MCO event after the last P3 meeting, and I talked to like 5, 6, 7 doctors. 3 of those doctors I've interacted with in a business sense since then. I've referred a couple of patients to one of the doctors. They've referred a couple of patients to me, but it's all because we've had collisions. One of my friends in the group is looking to hire an associate, and I told her the best thing she can do is be visible. Go out and tell every single person that you see, hey, I'm looking to add another doctor. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm looking for. And it's funny because we talked, I'm in her group and had this conversation. And then that night, we were at a after party. I'm like, hey, I have this person in mind that was an amazing doctor. And I interviewed him and we talked for hours, not just an hour, hours about life. And it wasn't the right timing to be in my office. The current associate I have coming on, I think, is going to be, it was just a better fit for the time that we're in right now. And he's going to be awesome. But I love this other doctor. And I said, hey, I think he's in California. It might be worth reaching out to him. And she reached out and it might work out. But that's a random collision. How is some doctor in Michigan helping a doctor in California find a associate? It's because you have these collisions. And the leader of my group, Julie Helmus, is the queen of collisions. She is always networking, talking to people. And I told her at that night, like, hey, I might have a associate that could work with X, Y, and Z. And she's like, what? How did you do that? I go, because Julie, I'm just like you. I'm just not as good yet. You know, you just talk to every single person and you find out, hey, this person needs to meet this person. This person needs to meet this person. And it's fun. The things that come out of these collisions. And that's what I love about being in optometry is you get to collide with so many different people on a daily basis. I think that's what makes me a great we go back to the amazing versus extraordinary doctor. It's because I literally want to talk to these people, figure out what their lives entail, what they're doing. And so many people I've talked to, and our kids are playing in the same league. They go to the same school. We played football against each other as kids, and it's just cool. Collisions. Get yourself out there. And that's why these groups are great, why going to meetings are great. I am a morning person. I don't like to be out late. I don't really drink. But when I go to that meeting, I'm going to stay out as late as I can handle for me. and talk to as many people as I can because I know the value of those collisions. When I go to AOA in Phoenix, I'm not as good about that. I go to my classes, I kind of have my headphones on, hood up, and when I'm done with class, I go to bed, repeat, because I'm there for a different purpose. But it would behoove me to go out and talk to these other doctors. They may not be in the same boat as me clinically, but there's value from it. I know I've made, when I go to the ICO alumni events at AOA, I always get something out of that. I'm trying to connect, reconvene with some of my colleagues, but collisions, unplanned conversations, organic interactions, ideas that come out of these non-formal meetings. And that's just knowing that being close to greatness. They always say, like, take the 5 people that you hang out with the most, and that's who you are. Being close to these people that are doing things differently, collaborating, sharing ideas, that's why we're good. I know that after my meeting, every single one of my group members, to a T, we were texting each other. We're all making moves. Everyone had some juice in their psyche. They were pumped up to go after it. I'm not going to be the weak link. I'm going to do what I got to do to get ahead, because I know, and this goes back to the cadence, in 6 months, I'm going to meet with this group again. My numbers, every single one of my data points will be in there. What I've done for the past 7 months will be under scrutiny. I do not want to be the weak link. Holds me accountable. So, and I guess what's happening there is, because I value their opinion, my floor has risen. My standards are higher. My thinking is sharper. And my blind spots are smaller. You know why? Because they pointed them out to me. So many things I've pressure tested, stress tested since then. It's weird because I came back from the meeting pumped up, but also angry. Like, why didn't I do this? Why am I letting this happen? What can I be better at? And I have to take the weekend, depressurize, relax a little bit, and find the focus, find the vision, where the office is going to go. Like I said, we do it every 6 months. Once a month, we do interact. We're not as good about that, but accountability is not something that can happen on a spaced out basis. You're not accountable. You hide details. When you have these interactions, it doesn't have to be a two-sided event. You know, there's some great people that like to mentor people behind them. Maybe you mentoring someone else, but you have to be completely honest with the people you want to get feedback from. And that's the hard part about what we do, being vulnerable, because it's really easy for me to give them a perfect view of my office, show them the things I want them to see. But at the end of the day, that defeats the purpose. Consistent cadence, complete transparency. Find people that respect that will do the same for you. It's a good group to be around. And through that, I think sometimes my best ideas aren't the new ones. It's seeing the bad idea and just not doing it. Having them tell me they did this. This is where their blind spots were. This is where they failed. So even if I'm going to go through with it, I'm not completely naive. I talk to someone that's done it. Good perspective to have. This is the thing I want to leave this episode with, is ask yourself honestly, who is the last person that told you had a bad idea, to the point that you actually didn't go through with it? Not, hey, I don't think we're going to do this, or man, we might get some pushback from staff. And you're like, no, we're doing this. This is what we're doing. But you really had a business idea. You had a way of going that they said, that's not the move to make. Or have you considered this and you've changed your paradigm because of their feedback? And then ask yourself, who's challenging your thinking right now? Do you have people around you that will give you that feedback? At the end of the day, the goal is not to be the smartest person in the room. It's to be in rooms that actually make you smarter. It doesn't have to be optometry, but you got to be with people that are driven, goal-oriented, They have to have that entrepreneurial mindset because there's a lot of people that are in corporate America that are very successful. You'll get some juice from them, but there's something different when you're making the decisions. You're steering the ship. And that's where I'm calling us to be the CEOs of our practice. Have that CEO mindset. Who's your board of directors, and are they giving you true, honest feedback? That's what I have. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and this might be a repeat, it might not, but this is what I needed right now. 2 years from now, at this exact time, I'll be standing in the places I used to dream about. Send this to yourself right now. Like, write it down, send it to yourself, and think about where that spot's going to be. I am a huge believer in having a vision. I have to send an email to, a reader, listener, YouTube watcher that asked what was the most important thing if I knew what I know now that I would tell myself starting that practice back in 2011. And it would have been to have a vision for the way you want to practice, the life you want to live, and make the hard choices now. It might be a little slower initially, but having the practice that you want and working in that is so fulfilling. It's so rewarding. It's the quickest way to avoid burnout. So know where you're going to be in 2 years. You're going to be standing here thinking that you used to dream about that spot. One of the things that came across to me this weekend, that the two pieces of advice that I'll give you, or wisdom, or things that are on my heart. Number one, every day matters. No wasted days. And that, to me, is absolutely crucial. It's not lip service. It's every day you're bringing the best you have, not accepting less than the best and going after it. Every day matters. Sounds really simple, but look at your schedule. Look at the days you've taken off. It matters. It's hard to do. And the second is there's two tiers of people, and there's tiers in my masterminds. The higher level group, they say the difference between the area that I'm at and the area that I'm aspiring to be is that the area that I'm at, the doctors still really like clinical care. And they're CEOs of their practice. They have great, thriving practices, but they're still trying to be better doctors. They're still trying to have the best of both worlds. But the bigger group, where they have, four, I think the minimum is like 4 doors and 4 million, they are great doctors. They still see patients probably 1 to 2 days a week, but they're more concerned about growing a great business. And you can see the conflict between the two, right? Sometimes the best business decision isn't going to be best for you personally to be in the clinic. Hard if you want to be a doctor and see patients. But there's ways to run a great business where you're still in clinic, but it's not catering everything to your wants and desires. It's making those around you better. An environment that allows your associates to thrive, allows the staff to have a better quality of life because they're then more productive for you. The first 14, 13 years of my practice, what did I want to do? How would you support me? How would I put people in place to make me as efficient as possible? Did great. That gets to 1.3, 1.4 million. To get to that next level, you got to make some different moves. It's not about you anymore. So that's what I have for you. We'll have more for you next week. Dr. Lily out.